Hey guys, it's Brooke from the Vintage Garden and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about a planting project that I'm doing in the Parterre Garden. And I know some of you guys are probably looking at me going, what do you mean a planting project? Like that Parterre Garden is a project. And it is, but there are some special sections in the Parterre Garden. So as you guys will well remember, I have a really large fountain in the center of my Parterre Garden. And around on each side of the Parterre Garden, there's a triangular shaped bed. And so I decided to do memorial gardens, but I'm doing a non-creepy version. So the memorial gardens are dedicated to each of my grandparents, all of which have died at this point. I think my first grandparent died when I was 15, and I think my last grandparent died, oh dear, back in 2014. So yeah, when I was I guess 34 years of age. And so I've been intrigued by the memorial. I had thought about doing a memorial garden before, but the really tricky thing about a memorial garden is that, you know, when you see pictures on Pinterest and everything, people have got stones that have messages written on them. They have like angel statues. And quite frankly, it always gave me some pet cemetery vibes. And I feel horrible about saying it, but that's it just always seemed very, very creepy to me. And so I want to do a memorial garden, but I want it to be a non-creepy version that looks beautiful. And I don't want it to look too memorial garden-ish. You know, I want it to look like a part of the garden without it screaming that somebody died, you know what I mean? So anyway, I came up with something that I think will give me a very meaningful memorial garden, and I'd like to share that with you. So if you guys remember back in February, it was around Valentine's Day, I did a segment on the language of flowers, and I did a like a Valentine's Day bouquet for your mom, and I talked to you guys about the flowers that I had chosen, and it was a meaningful bouquet. So to do the memorial gardens, I'm using a combination of language of flowers, birthstone, and birth month flowers to create the gardens themselves. So I'll talk about my first grandmother, who is Iona. That's my dad's mother. And so her birthday is February 8th. And I always thought it was really interesting because my sister's birthday is February 9th. And then my birthday is October 6th. And my mother's mother, Thelma, her birthday is October 6th too. So I thought it was really interesting how both my mom's children really share birthdays with a grandmother. So my grandmother, like I said, was born in February, and if you are not aware, the birth month stone for February is amethyst, which is purple. So that's the main color in the garden. And then for the accent color, I did yellow because yellow is her favorite color. So the birth month flower for February is iris, which German iris, which is one of the things that are in there, stands for flame. And so that's how I kind of started it. So for hers, it's a it is a yellow and purple themed garden. So now one of the flowers that is in all four of the gardens, because the gardens aren't just about expressing grief and sorrow, it's also I chose flowers that symbolize the individual grandparent. But one of the things that's you're going to see commonly in all of the four memorial gardens are, number one, a rosemary hedge. I actually need a lot more rosemary because rosemary stands for remembrance. And so since I'm in southern New Jersey, which is zone 7A, I'm using ARP rosemary. It's ARP. That is the most winter hardy for our area. So it says it gets about 2 feet wide, 4 feet high. I'm sure that I can, especially if I plant it closer together, I can keep it a much smaller hedge. On top of that, rosemary does take a long time to grow, so I'm sure I'll be able to keep it well maintained. So that's what I'm going to use, and that stands for remembrance. Let's see. Then I'm doing roses. Now roses, because I think you guys probably have seen pictures that each section has a rose. Roses do and can stand for love, but there are individual meanings depending upon the color of the rose that you've chosen. Let's see. And then another thing that's in all the gardens are peonies. And peonies has several meanings, one of which is beauty, bravery, compassion, loyalty, and masculinity. And you know what, when I'm actually making each garden, I will tell you which meaning I'm actually using for that particular grandparent. But since peonies, I mean, first of all, I love the flower, and because it had so many meanings, I think there's a meaning for each, of the grandparents, just depending upon their personalities. The other thing you're gonna see in all of them are poppies. Poppies has the meaning, it's more of a grief thing. So it's consolation, it stands for eternal rest and remembrance. If you guys remember, like for example, Memorial Day, not so much in this country, but I know in Europe, when they have their Remembrance Day, it's about people who died in combat, and so they wear a red poppy. That's why they do it, because of that's what it signifies. Another thing you're gonna find in the gardens, not all of them, but at this point, I probably will change it and add some to the other sections, are Chrysanthemum, which stands for cheerfulness in adversity, because all of my grandparents are Black. My dad's parents came from a different country. My mom's parents lived in, North Carolina before the segregation happened. So as you can imagine, they experienced a lot of adversity in this country. The other meaning for chrysanthemums is heart left to desolation, because it was really hard. I think the first time I lost my grandparent, which was my dad's father, I was kind of numb about the entire situation. The hardest was when my mother's parents died, because they died within a few months of each other, and it was I think the year after I graduated from law school, and that was really tough. There was just a lot of things, in addition to that, there was just a lot of things going on for me personally, and it was, yeah, that was one of the roughest summers that I had ever had. You're also going to see zinnias in all of the segments, and zinnias have more than one meaning, but one of them is I mourn your absence. And let's see. You're going to see marigold. Now, marigolds aren't going to be on all of them. It's only going to be in one of them. But marigolds do stand for affection, and they also stand for grief. So those are the ones you're going to see in all of the sections. So we've already talked about my paternal grandmother, Iona. So let's talk about my mom's mom, Thelma. So like I said, she was born in October 6th. We shared a birthday. And so the birthstone for October is opal. And so white is going to be, white and pink are going to play colors. Pink, from what I remember, was her favorite color. Also, if you guys remember, when it comes to birthstones, the less expensive alternative for opal is this pink color, like rose zircon, which I'm not really a fan of. But like I said, it's going to be white and pink, and I did end up going with yellow. So the birthstone, the birth month flower for October is marigold. That stands once again for affection as well as for grief. And so yeah, so that's how, so it's going to be white, pink, and I did use yellow as an accent color, and you'll see why I use yellow as an accent color in that section once I show you the video of me planting it. Then my mom's dad's name is James, and he was born December 31st. I know, like the last day of the year. And so I had to change up with his. Okay, so the birth month flower for December is poinsettia, which around here is only out at Christmas time. I don't even know that's something I could even put in the ground. So but because it's red, that's the color I went with. Now, the birthstone for December currently is turquoise. And as you guys well know, like blue flowers and turquoise flowers, that's like impossible. But if you guys know anything about gemology, the birthstones that we have today are not always it didn't always match what was in the past. And December is one of those months. So I think the Gemological Society changed the birthstones, I want to say in like the early, maybe like the 1930s or around there. Before they changed it to turquoise, the birthstone for December had actually been ruby, which is red. So that's a much easier color for me to find. Interestingly enough, you know, that's my mom's dad, and her birthday is July. And if you guys know anything about birthstones, July is the current, July is what ruby is assigned to currently. So I thought there was kind of that cool tie there. So his section is red, also white, and probably some deep purples. I'm gonna do that in that section. And then my last grandfather is Victor. This is my dad's dad, and he was born in January, and I'm blanking on the actual day. I'm gonna have to ask my sister. I feel so bad because I actually didn't know when all their birthday was. And I can't believe I'm having a brain freeze because literally a month ago I knew exactly his birthday. I can't understand why I'm forgetting it now. But the flower, the birth month flower for January is carnation. And so carnations also stand for love. There's different meanings based upon the color. I'm going with white, which I think is just considered to be pure love. And then the birth stone for January is garnet. Now garnet can be kind of like a deep red, but I already have red. Garnets come in many colors, the most rare of which is green. And that particular grandfather is definitely a very rare soul. So I decided to go with green and white. And I also decided to do some pink because there was a flower that I chose and that's what it was. It was based upon the flower. So just in summary, so Iona is yellow and purple. If I have to add a third color, it probably will be more of a white or maybe a cream color. My grandmother Thelma is pink, yellow, and white. My grandfather James is red, white, and like deep purples, like, you know, I went like red and burgundies and that sort of thing. And then my grandfather Victor is green, white, and pink. So that is how I'm going about this process. So now that you guys have seen this, I'm going to show you the first video of me planting up my grandmother's garden. And as I'm working, I'm going to do a voiceover going into specifically what the flowers are, their meaning, and kind of why I chose what about my grandmother made me choose those particular flowers. So on to the garden.